I want to go over and talk through each parasite life cycle, beginning with our large strongyles, also often referred to as bloodworms. And so our large strongyles are going to be this family of parasites, and there's actually three main species that belong to this family. We have our Strongyles vulgaris, our Strongyles edentatus, and then our Strongyles equinus. And I'll talk about those differences in a second, but just know we have three different species that do a little bit of different things. And so with our large strongyles, I started with this because this used to be our big problem, as it can be a very, very damaging parasite to horses. However, we really don't see it much anymore. And so what we used to see with our large strongyles is that our larval development was influenced by temperature. So we saw the larva develop pretty quickly at, about 70 to 91 degrees. It could develop in about 5 days. Cooler temperatures, it might take as long as 3 weeks to develop. But it was pretty resistant to any harsh weather, especially the cold, because it had this protective sheath around it. So it could be susceptible to hot temperatures. So we used to say greater than 90. I think new recommendations are greater than about 100 degrees Fahrenheit. In these really hot and dry climates, it has the potential to die. So places in the desert might not be as concerned about this as maybe more mild climates. But what happens is these larvae are going to be passed in the feces, and so they're consumed by horses as they graze. And then they're going to migrate to the GI tract. And so looking down here, bopping down here, we have the life cycle of this parasite, and it develops into these different stages of larva. At the L3 stage, it becomes infective, it's consumed, and then it goes to this L4 stage, where then it's going to migrate for our Strongyles vulgaris. It migrates up into the mesenteric root, and that is going to be our part of the blood supply that supplies the GI tract. And so that's what I mean by it can be pretty damaging, because by going into that blood supply, into these blood vessels, we can see damage to the blood vessels of the horse. Okay, so for our Strongyles vulgaris, which is our most common species we see of this parasite, that is where it'll travel. We also have the other two that it's really going to migrate to the liver, and it can cause liver damage. But some effects we may see with our Strongyles vulgaris is colic, blood vessel rupture, thrombosis, so referring to blood clotting, tissue death. And so the good news is that it is currently rare in horses. It used to be the most common parasite, but for horses that have been regularly dewormed, this parasite is still susceptible to every dewormer we have, and so we rarely see them except for in wild horses. So if you are getting maybe a Mustang that has not been properly dewormed, this could be a concerning parasite. But for domestic horse populations who have been dewormed regularly, we should not see this as much.